Welcome to Have You Read It, the channel where we bring books to life, one summary at a time. Whether you're here for self-help, personal growth, or business inspiration, there's something for everyone. Today, we're exploring Elizabeth Gilbert's Big Magic: Creative Living Beyond Fear. This book isn't just for artists or writers, it's for anyone who wants to inject more creativity and joy into their lives. Gilbert explores the mysteries of inspiration, offering a unique perspective on how ideas come to us and how we can nurture them. She emphasizes the importance of courage, enchantment, permission, persistence, trust, and divinity in the creative process. Let's start with courage. Gilbert introduces us to the poet Jack Gilbert, who chose a life of creative devotion over fame and fortune. He lived simply, prioritizing his art above all else. He encourages us to ask ourselves, do you have the courage to bring forth this work? The treasures that are hidden inside you are hoping you will say yes. This question, according to Gilbert, is the foundation of creative living. It's about unearthing the jewels buried within us and sharing them with the world. This doesn't necessarily mean quitting your job and becoming a starving artist. Gilbert uses the example of her friend Susan, who rediscovered her love of figure skating in her 40s. Susan didn't aim for Olympic gold. She skated simply for the joy and transcendence it brought to her life. This is what Gilbert calls an amplified life, a life driven by curiosity, not fear. Fear is a constant companion on the creative journey. Gilbert acknowledges a laundry list of fears that can stifle creativity, from fear of failure and criticism to fear of not being original or important enough. She shares her own struggles with fear, recounting her childhood anxieties and her mother's no-nonsense approach to overcoming them. Her mother's philosophy? Make her do exactly what she dreaded most. This tough love ultimately helped Gilbert confront her fears. Gilbert argues that fear is boring, it's predictable, repetitive, and ultimately unoriginal. It always says stop. While we need fear for survival, we don't need it in our creative lives. She suggests we treat fear as a passenger on a road trip. It's allowed to come along, but it's not allowed to drive. Creativity and the individual are the navigators. Now let's talk about enchantment. Gilbert recounts a story of a book she didn't write, a novel about a highway project in the Amazon rainforest. This idea, based on a story from her partner Felipe, captivated her, and she began extensive research. However, life intervened, and she had to put the project aside. When she returned to it, the spark was gone. The idea, she says, had left her. This story introduces Gilbert's belief in ideas as living entities, seeking human collaborators. They visit us, hoping to be brought to life. If we're not receptive, they move on. This highlights the importance of clearing space for inspiration, of being open and available when an idea comes knocking. But what happens when you say yes to an idea? Gilbert contrasts the contract of creative suffering with a more joyful approach. She encourages us to cooperate with inspiration, to nourish our well-being, and to find pleasure in the process. The Amazon story takes a magical turn. Around the same time the idea left her, Gilbert befriended Anne Patchett, who was starting a new novel, also about the Amazon rainforest. Their stories were eerily similar. Gilbert views this not as theft, but as multiple discovery, a phenomenon observed in science where different people arrive at the same idea independently. She suggests that ideas have a will of their own and seek the most receptive collaborators. This brings us to permission. Gilbert recounts her upbringing in a family of makers, where creativity was simply a part of life. Her parents, though not artists, pursued their interests with a sense of self-reliance and a disregard for convention. This instilled in Gilbert a sense of entitlement, not the negative kind, but the belief that she was allowed to have a voice and a vision. Gilbert encourages us to cultivate this sense of creative entitlement, this arrogance of belonging. It's not about ego, but about believing you have a right to be here and to express yourself. It's the antidote to the inner critic that questions our worthiness to create. This is where the idea of originality versus authenticity comes into play. Gilbert argues that authenticity is more important than striving for originality, as our unique expression will always shine through. She also emphasizes that we don't have to save the world with our art. Our own reasons for creating are reason enough. Let's talk about schooling and permission. Gilbert challenges the notion that formal education is essential for creative living. While it can be valuable, it can also be expensive and lead to crippling debt. She encourages us to look to the world and our own experiences as teachers. Our lives, she says, are filled with lessons that can inform our art. Drawing from her own journey, she shares her experiences working odd jobs, traveling, and forming her own writing workshop with friends, the Fat Kids. These experiences were her education, providing her with material and a supportive community. Gilbert also introduces us to the wisdom of Werner Herzog, who admonished a struggling filmmaker to quit complaining and steal a camera if he had to, but to stop whining and get back to work. This tough love highlights the importance of taking responsibility for our creative lives. The world doesn't owe us anything. We have to make it happen. She also cautions against the trap of perfectionism, which can prevent us from starting or finishing our work. Done is better than good, she reminds us, echoing her mother's advice. Persistence is key. Gilbert shares her own story of taking vows to become a writer, promising to write forever, regardless of the outcome. She kept those vows even during her chaotic 20s, writing every day, honing her craft. This emphasizes the importance of showing up consistently, even when the work is difficult or the results are disappointing. She also acknowledges that creative living is not always a linear path. Sometimes we have to step away, try different things, and return later with a fresh perspective. Gilbert introduces the concept of the shit sandwich, borrowed from writer Mark Manson. Every pursuit, no matter how glamorous, comes with its downsides. The key is to find the flavor of shit sandwich you're willing to eat. It's not just about passion, but about enduring the less glamorous aspects of the work. She also discusses the importance of a day job, emphasizing that we shouldn't burden our creativity with the pressure of paying the bills. A day job can liberate our art, allowing it to flourish without financial constraints. This leads us to trust. Inspired by botanist Robin Wall Kimmerer, Gilbert asks aspiring writers if they believe that writing loves them back. The responses are often negative, revealing a dysfunctional relationship with creativity. Many artists see their work as a tormentor, a source of pain. Gilbert challenges this perspective, suggesting that creativity wants to collaborate with us, not destroy us. She cautions against the romanticized image of the tormented artist, arguing that we can be creative and still be decent human beings. She encourages us to choose love over suffering, to trust in the reciprocal relationship between ourselves and our creativity. She advocates for the way of the trickster over the martyr. The trickster trusts the universe and its playful nature, while the martyr is consumed by suffering. Gilbert shares Brené Brown's story of overcoming her creative struggles by embracing the trickster approach. Brown, a natural storyteller, found that her writing flowed more easily when she dictated her stories aloud to colleagues, capturing the natural rhythm of her voice. This emphasizes the importance of finding methods that work for us, even if they break with tradition. The final section of the book explores the concept of divinity in creativity. Gilbert shares a story from Bali about how meaningless dances, created for tourists, eventually became sacred. This story blurs the lines between the sacred and the profane, highlighting the unpredictable and often paradoxical nature of creativity. So, what are the key takeaways from Big Magic? Embrace your curiosity. Don't wait for passion. Follow your interests, no matter how small. They may lead you to unexpected places. Give yourself permission. You don't need anyone's approval to live a creative life. You are entitled to your voice and your vision. Persist through fear and doubt. Creativity is a journey, not a destination. There will be challenges, but keep showing up. Trust the process. Believe that creativity wants to work with you. Be open to inspiration, even when it comes in unexpected forms. Take things lightly. Don't burden your creativity with the pressure of perfection or the expectation of worldly success. It's okay to play. Be grateful. Acknowledge the gift of creativity and the opportunity to engage with it. Gratitude fuels the process. Big Magic is a call to action, an invitation to live a more creative, enchanted, and amplified life. It's a reminder that we all have treasures within us, waiting to be unearthed. Thanks for watching. Have you read it? Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you never miss our next book dive.